a very informative session.
Yes.
Because we always say fun sessions will also be fun. But this is going to be super informative, especially for beginners who are learning to set up their kitchen. I'm sure there are a lot of bachelors who are moving cities, people traveling to different cities to study, and you may have never set up a kitchen before or don't even know what it takes to set up a kitchen to begin with. So I think we're going to help you today with that.
I mean, I don't want to say get your notebooks out, but get
It
ready.
would be nice.
It's not class or anything, guys. It's going to be a fun, informative session.
Yes.
Say hi to all of our viewers.
Hi to
Hi,
all of our
all
viewers.
Okay, but also we're going to save this live session. It's going to be available on our feed. So if you miss any part of it or you don't understand something that we're saying, you can always go back, rewatch it, and you can DM us and we'll answer your queries. So that is always an option throughout. So today's session is titled How to Set Up Your Indian Kitchen. Okay, so that's what the session is.
I think we got to start with this then, because this is quintessential in every Indian kitchen. Everyone has this. And
Yeah,
if you
true.
don't, I mean, does anyone know what this is? Like, you should have an idea. If you do,
It's not a tiffin box, by the way, please.
comment down below in the
Yeah.
comments.
Do we
Does anyone guess
let's
it?
check
Huh?
What is quintessential?
It's like important. Everyone
something
has
that
it.
you definitely need.
Yeah,
You can't do without.
especially in Indian household.
Manas, can you say hi?
Hi.
Kavin Joe says he's a big fan of Sanjana.
Thank you so much.
Anyone a fan of Manas?
No.
Look at me.
Hey, someone said Anjara Petti. Yes.
Ah,
That's
okay.
exactly what this is. Basically, it's an Anjara Petti or it's a spice box.
Doesn't Anji mean 5? Does it?
I don't know.
Is that what it means?
It does mean that, but this has more than
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
It's 5.5.
What's 7 in Tamil?
Yellow Petti.
That's what it's called now, guys. So yeah, this has like the most common spices that, can you see? That you would use in an Indian household. Turmeric, coriander powder, cumin seeds. This is garam masala, right?
Yes.
Salt,
Cumin
Kashmiri red
coriander,
chili
yeah.
powder. I said turmeric as well,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So whatever is most common, you
See,
can
but
use.
basically, in my house, this is not how we set it up. If this is what you have in your Anjara Petti, then you should have another set as well with your mustard seeds, cumin seeds, and all your tempering. So basically, urinde or urad dal, you have mustard seeds, you have cumin seeds, and then you have coriander seeds.
And this is for dry red chilies usually.
Yes.
That's what we do.
Exactly, dry red chilies.
Yeah.
So basically, everything that you'd use for a tempering is what you would keep in one of these boxes. But also having your powdered spices arranged like this makes life super easy. This is arranged with powdered spices because we used it for something specific that you can stay tuned for.
Exactly.
Something
It's
that
special.
Mahika shot. So if you like Mahika and her recipes, you can stay tuned for something coming very soon. So moving on, that's the basic thing. That's the first thing you need when you're setting up your Indian kitchen. Set of powdered spices and set of your
Whole
tempering
spices.
spices.
And
Yeah. So the tempering spices and then there's whole spices like cinnamon, clove, cardamom, bay leaf. What else?
Elaichi,
Basic.
you said that black
Yeah.
elaichi.
Black
star
cardamom in
anise.
some cases, cumin, mustard. I think you're good if you have just those as whole spices. Your powdered spices, you have red chili powder, turmeric, cumin, coriander. So it's CTCC.
And there's 2 types of red chili powders as well. I mean, can anyone guess it? Like the most common one. If you guys do know what it is, just put it down in the comments. I mean, it's not a big reveal or anything. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what it is. So I'll just say it's Kashmiri red chili powder and just red chili powder. Does that have a name? The other red chili powder?
No, it's just red chili powder.
Just red chili powder.
So basically, it's just a normal red chili powder. It's spicy. It's spicy as hell. And the Kashmiri red chili powder gives you a nice bright red color minus the heat. So it's not too spicy, but it looks amazing. That's what I use in all my cooking, or 90% of my cooking. I think he's the opposite.
I love spice. I'm from Andhra, guys. I can't live without spice.
Okay, so moving on. Yeah, we'll move on to the next thing. So basically, see, we also have our list because it takes a lot to set up a kitchen. So next thing we'll do is we'll probably move on to the cooking utensils and the basics that you need for that. And starting off with pans, different types of pans that you might need. Manas, can you take us through the different pans that we need?
So in a kitchen, usually you can get away with 2 pans, which is non-stick and stainless steel. So a lot of people nowadays, okay, thank you for that. So these are pretty big pans, so they are kind of universal. You do get pans of all, sizes, but if you get big, you can always go a little small, right? That's what I always believe.
Yeah, so usually in non-stick pans, it starts at about 20 centimeters, the diameter, and I think this one is 28 centimeters. So it ranges depending on the size and the number of people that you're cooking for, but If there is usually 4 or more people at home, I'd advise you to always go for a larger size because you can make small quantities in this. But if you get a small pan, cooking a larger quantity is very, very difficult and very messy. So it's better to just stick to a larger pan and use it multi-purpose.
And usually for beginners, they always recommend non-stick because I mean it's non-stick. You don't have to stress about your food sticking. You don't have
Correct.
to worry about anything. But I mean, I think we have a small reel where we show you how you can make a stainless steel pan non-stick.
Yeah.
And once you get a little more confidence, stainless steel is always the way to go because I don't know, I feel like it makes food taste better.
Also, it's easier to clean. With
Exactly.
non-stick, you have to be a little bit careful.
No
You
method.
should try, you shouldn't use any hard or rough scrubbers. You shouldn't scrub off the surface because once there are scratches, you're not supposed to use a non-stick pan. You're supposed to replace it at that point. So always keep that in mind. Be gentle with the non-stick pans and only use wooden ladles when it comes to non-stick pans. And the third kind of pan that you need and that we don't have right here, I mean,
Okay.
a pot is one thing, but then before that we need a tawa also. So something to make
yes.
your dosas and chapatis, you need like a flat tawa. Basically, this pan, but minus the sides.
Without the edges.
Yeah, so it's just a flat, round one, completely flat, which will help you get perfectly round dosas, and also you can make chapatis on the same pan. So that will help. And then
So-
the next thing is,
All of these pans are like multi-purpose. They don't have only one use. You can make literally, I mean, whatever you think of, you can
Yes.
make it in one of these two pans.
I mean, you could make chapati in this. Dosa, not ideally. You can make uttapams in this if you want. That's all right. But this is also a must.
This is a pretty large pot. I think it's around 3.5 liters, 4 liters. It's a stock pot. So if you want to make biryanis, any rice dishes, any soups, any large batch gravies, this is like your go-to. And you do get this in non-stick as well, where the inside is coated. But once again, I mean, for this, since you're not searing anything, nothing really has the chance to stick. And stainless steel is non-reactive as well. So you can cook anything acidic. You can cook virtually anything in this. And it's like it'll last you a lifetime if you get a good quality stainless
And
steel.
this is very, very important, especially if you don't have a rice cooker or a pressure
Ah.
cooker, because you can cook large quantities of rice in this. And definitely you need this for making biryani. So,
before going to the next
yes.
thing, you can just tell what we are doing in this video.
Yeah, so basically we're teaching people how to set up their Indian kitchen. If you are a beginner or you just started cooking and you don't know how to set up your kitchen, or you're moving cities, you're moving away from home, you don't know how to set up your kitchen, this is the live session for you. We will be saving this on our feed. So you can, if you missed the beginning part of this, you can always go and rewatch it at the end of this live. But before that, there's one thing that's very interesting.
Okay.
Balakumar says, I'm moving to Canada and was checking on this information on the internet, but found it on Cook TV. Happy, happy, happy. That's really nice.
Makes
So like I said, it's going to be saved. So you can keep rewatching this until you set up your kitchen fully in Canada, and all the best.
And I'm sure once, we finish with this session, we'll come up with a more intermediate level and an advanced level. So you guys also set up your kitchen. You can also stay tuned with these lives and, learn and expand your kitchen a little more, expand your utensils, move up a couple
Manas,
of levels. Yeah.
kettle food recipes, please.
That's coming up. We recently, I think it was yesterday or day before. Yesterday we posted a new awesome kettle recipe. So go check it out. There are 2 right now on Instagram. So, and YouTube, of course. So just go check it out and let me know what you think in the comments.
And there was a question, how do we get our recipe mixes in Hyderabad?
In Hyderabad specifically, you'll have to order them online because we're not yet available on retail. So if you are from Hyderabad, basically actually if you're anywhere except Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, we're not yet available in retail. But you can kind of order them online on our own website, and you will get the products delivered to your house within 3 to 4 days. So you should do that.
And Sanjana, do you remember yesterday we conducted a question answer session in Insta?
Yeah.
So we got some really interesting.
Yeah, please ask.
So Leela is asking, what is the difference between tiffin sambar and lunch sambar?
See, the recipe itself is different, okay? The base recipe is different. The tiffin sambar is a basic, very, very basic style sambar. And usually you don't add like too many vegetables. It's just made with a small onion. So a lot of you might know it as the Hotel Sarvana Bhavan style sambar. For lunch sambar, it's typically an Arche Utta sambar, which means we make a masala paste and then you add a lot of vegetables and then you make that. Tiffin sambar is a little bit more watery because it's had with dosa and idlis and things.
So you can, so the vada and idli soaks up all that goodness.
Exactly.
You don't want a lot of vegetables at breakfast, do you? Do you?
I mean, I don't
vegetables
mind.
at breakfast?
I don't mind.
Come on, man.
I'm a vegetarian. That's what I eat.
I don't eat meat for breakfast either. I mean, when you eat dosa or idli, you want some nice coconut chutney, some nice pickle, some nice peanut chutney, right? Not vegetables.
Sambar for life.
I'm not a fan of sambar.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm okay, but like
Okay, Tamil Nadu sambar or Bangalore sambar?
Okay.
Andhra sambar.
Andhra sambar is the best.
Andhra sambar never entered the chat.
Whoever loves Andhra sambar over Tamil Nadu sambar, please comment down below. It's the ultimate. I know it's gonna start a war here,
Wait,
but
how many of
please.
you are offended by that? Let us know.
Do not hate on me, but please. Okay, Karnataka sambar is. I'm sorry, it's too sweet for my taste. But Andhra sambar, go try it out and then let me know. Okay, please.
And the next must vessel is
Pressure cooker. So I'm pretty sure every household has a pressure cooker, and you all know that it comes with a base, a lid, and a whistle. So I mean, why do people buy a pressure cooker? It makes cooking. It what cuts it down in half.
yeah, definitely.
So if you use any dals or whatever, you cook in the pressure cooker, it cuts it down by half, and it makes your
If
life
not
much
more,
easier.
actually.
So if anyone knows how a pressure cooker works, do comment down below. I don't want to explain it because it's kind of a lengthy scientific-ish process, but as mentioned, it just makes your life a lot easier, makes everything much easier, and cuts your cooking time down by half. I'm sorry, no, I'm mincing my words.
And also, if you're cooking mutton, especially cooking it in an open pot is a nightmare. So this you just keep it for 7-8 whistles depending on the quality of the mutton, and you get perfectly cooked mutton. If you cook it in an open pot, 1 hour. Say bye bye to the next 1 hour, and just stand there staring at the pot and mixing it every
It
now
takes
and
like 20
then.
minutes in the pressure cooker for supreme tenderness.
Actually, surprised to see a lot of people saying Andhra sambar. I don't know.
Thank you, guys.
So Mahika is asking, what are you chefs doing today?
We are teaching people how to set up their own kitchen. So how to set up their Indian kitchen in specific, because I think Western cooking doesn't require as many
I
things,
don't
to
think they
be
use
honest.
pressure cookers, do they?
No, instant pot.
Oh, sorry.
Instant pot.
Fancified.
Yeah.
Instant pot.
So yeah. So moving on to the next thing, I think we covered the basic kind of pans that you need essentially when you're setting up. So it's like say 5 different things. You need a frying pan, you need a dosa tawa, you need just a regular multi-purpose stainless steel pan, you need a cooking pot, and you need a pressure cooker. With that, you will be able to cook every single Indian dish that you can find on the internet or in books or ask your mom. That's totally fine. These are the next few really essential things that you need. Maybe let's head on to the ladles next, because that's the next thing that we'd want to do.
I just want to mention this specific spatula. This is our CEO Adyanna's favorite spatula. If you've seen any of his reels recently, I think the last 4 or 5 reels, he's used this spatula specifically. This is a wooden spatula. I mean, it's not shaped, it's just like a wooden plank. But if you're using non-stick, you should always use wooden or silicone. But I mean, I also find if I use wood, it makes my food taste better. I don't know why.
I don't know.
It's like a superstition.
He's just saying everything tastes better because of the pan and stuff like that. I don't think his cooking is valid. Then only the pan makes the food taste better. You need to know a little bit of cooking or start learning to cook with the cooktop, especially.
Yes.
Small little, just plugging it in there. Yeah. So the basic wooden, there are different models in this, of course, but having a nice sharp edge like this helps you like flip food and then cook easier. But you also need a round ladle like this, especially for rasam, sambar, anything gravy-ish.
Yeah.
A slotted spoon, I mean, it's
equivalent to that.
Yes, it pretty much does the job of this. And apart from this, what you also need is, I'm sure you guys have seen this at home, there'll be like a ladle like this, but then it'll be round on top and there'll be tiny holes in that.
Pasta scooper.
I mean, it's used for frying I don't know.
Yeah,
I meant the frying thing. So there'll be like these tiny holes in it, which you use for deep frying. So also having one of those at home will help, because you can't deep fry anything with either of these.
We've tried it. It hurts.
So can we use spoon or non-stick?
No.
If it's wooden, yes.
Or silicone.
You can't use any metal on non-stick. It scratches it and makes it toxic. I've seen him use it. I'm calling him out.
And guys, I saw comment.
Yeah.
So, being a guy from Andhra, there is no specific recipe of sambar in Andhra cuisine.
Thank you.
So obviously, the first copy recipe of Tamil Nadu sambar recipe.
Andhra sambar is typically more sour than Tamil sambar. They add a little more puli, which I like. People back me up on that.
So you mean it's Tamil Nadu sambar with extra puli?
It's not Tamil. It's a little.
It's okay, Manas. It's all right. Calm down there. Okay, this is the next most important thing that you need. Almost, or not almost, more important than this.
Can't do anything with
it. How dare I say that? But yes, it's more important than this. You definitely need a good quality wooden chopping board.
Yeah.
It's I always recommend wooden over plastic. I don't know, it's just a personal preference and something that my mom always taught me to use, like wood over plastic while cooking. And you need 2 types of knives. Don't go in for anything fancy when you're a beginner. All you need is a chef's knife. I mean, obviously, you can pick the size that you're comfortable using. But for beginners, I would recommend something around this size, which is probably around 3.5, 4 inches.
It's easier to handle.
Yes, and it's safer for you when you're using. And a smaller knife, this is called a paring knife. So, a chef's knife and a paring knife is all you need when you're beginning to cook. And that's all.
And you typically, I mean, when you buy a new chef's knife, it'll come really sharp.
Yeah.
But in a kitchen, they always say you should work with sharp knives, not blunt knives, because it's actually
Contrary
safer
to
for you.
belief.
It's like you can cut yourself with a sharp knife now with a blunt knife, right? But the amount of pressure that you need to put when you have a blunt knife is actually a lot more than when you have a sharp knife. So it's much easier, much safer to use a sharp knife. So for that, do get a whetstone. I'm not sure where we.
See, now
where it
again, a
is right
whetstone
now.
is a little bit hard for a beginner to use. So
Honing
you, no, not a honing rod either, but you get these tiny sets, like a plastic set with 3 slots in it, which is called a knife sharpener. All you have to do is use it in first setting, second setting, third setting, and it helps sharpen your knife. So also investing a little bit in a good quality knife helps it stay sharper for longer. Cheaper knives usually get blunt super fast and makes your prep time a nightmare, especially cutting tomatoes. I hate cutting tomatoes with like a blunt knife. It's so irritating and
It just
time
explodes
consuming.
all over. You can't get proper slices.
Guys, Vishnu is giving us a tip. Never keep your knives wet for a long time.
It
Always
rusts.
wash and dry.
Definitely. Manas, this is a question that I think you should definitely take because I've seen you do it. How do you avoid rust in a cast iron pan?
Okay, so firstly, I'm assuming if you're buying a new cast iron pan, it has no rust on it, so I'll start from there. So once you cook with a cast iron pan, they typically say don't use any soap on it. You can lightly use soap, don't like scrub it with all soap.
yeah.
So usually you can just rinse out with water and then dry it with a paper towel and then put it on the gas to make it completely bone dry. Once it's dry, you can season it. So seasoning is basically adding a few layers of oil, like rubbing it all over the skillet, not only on the cooking surface, but all over it because it's completely cast iron, right? So once you rub it all over, you just put it on the gas burner again and let it smoke. So once it smokes, that's basically the oil is forming a non-stick layer on top of the metal surface, which helps prevent water from seeping in and rusting. And once again, it's a non-stick surface, right? So if you so typically people say the older your cast iron is, the more non-stick it is because you keep adding oil and rubbing and heating it up, so it goes over multiple cycles. So if you've gotten like a cast iron passed down from generations and generations, do use it because that'll be like amazing for you. It'll be like
Make
it'll be really good.
make the food
It'll
taste
make
better.
the food taste better. Trust me. If you sear a piece of meat on cast iron compared to non-stick, you can visibly see the difference. Like that's why I love using cast iron. Like whenever I have the chance to use cast iron, I always use it.
And that's why he was the right person to also tell you how to maintain it, but probably in a few simple steps. As soon as you use the cast iron, first of all, when you buy a new one, you have to season it like the process that he said. Then once you use it, just rinse it out with water. And worst case scenario, if there are some bits stuck on it, a little bit of soap and a non-abrasive pad, like something that's not too rough. You know, sponges that you get, you can use the sponge to kind of rub off the excess bits on it. Then he's saying wipe it dry with a towel or a tissue paper, put it back on the stove, heat it, and then apply some oil on it and heat it again. So that is a process that you follow every single time. It's a bit of effort, but it's worth the effort.
And you know how like when you've cooked something really heavy and like it sticks to the pan and you soak the pan because you feel like you'll wash it later, you should never soak a cast iron pan because even if it's seasoned really well, water is the enemy, oxygen is the enemy, it will start to rust. So as soon as you're done cooking with it, maybe let it soak for 5 minutes and then clean it and do this process.
And this whole life is going to go on cast iron because it's his passion project, looks like. But let's move on to the next thing.
Before we move on, question from Q&A session.
Yes.
Saadu is asking, can we make any dessert without using oven, brown sugar, cocoa powder, and use only chocolate coffee?
Yeah, definitely. You can make a ton of recipes. You can even make brownies with that. You can make it in a pressure cooker.
You can make a 2-ingredient chocolate mousse. With 2
He
ingredients.
is just kind of pushing his recipe, guys. But either way, you should check that out, by the way, because it's a really simple recipe.
2 ingredients.
But in the meanwhile, if you do want to make like cakes and cupcakes and cookies, it's possible in a kadai with some salt or in a cooker with some
Pressure
salt.
cooker,
Yeah. And you don't have to use brown sugar. You don't have to use cocoa powder.
No.
You can use chocolate compound. That's perfectly fine. You'll still get a pretty good result. You can use just normal white sugar, use normal maida, no fancy ingredients, and you'll still end up with some really nice desserts, honestly.
And one more question.
Yes?
How to check if the paneer is cooked in paneer kurkuri?
There's nothing to cook in paneer, so there's nothing for you to check in terms of consistency. Honestly, you can even eat raw paneer and that's safe for you. But that being said, you're cutting it into really, really tiny cubes and then you're coating it with a masala and you're deep frying it in oil that's super hot. So definitely you can safely eat it. It's going to be piping hot actually when you take it out. So be careful when you're eating it when it's hot. So let's move on to a couple of basic appliances that people need. A gas stove or an induction is your choice. Depends on where you live. In not all housing societies abroad, at least, do they allow gas cylinders to be placed inside the building. So in that case, you might already have induction hobs that are there, or you can buy an induction pan. So the heat source can be either induction or it can be a gas stove.
Yeah.
The next must-have is definitely a mixie.
These come in once again all shapes and sizes. So what's really annoying is usually, how we said you should always go bigger with this because you can make small quantities. With the mixie, that's not always true because if you blend like really small quantities, it just won't blend because it'll hit the bottom and it won't hit the blades.
Yeah.
So for this, you might have to go for a slightly smaller size, and maybe if you're making a big batch, do it in batches.
Multiple batches, yeah.
But
that's definitely better. And get a mixie with a higher voltage because that means that it's more efficient and it's more like it's a high-speed blender basically. So if you don't have a high-speed blender, like he said, if you're trying to make like masalas and stuff like that, you won't get a fine powder. It'll still be really coarse at the end of it. So for example, you want to make your own garam masala at home, you won't be able to do that. It won't be like the one that you bought in the store anyway. So that is something that you need to keep in mind. There are a few appliances which are not compulsory but could help. One of them is a rice cooker, which means you don't have to use a pressure cooker or anything else. You can put the rice and water in it and forget about it, honestly. When it's ready, it will go off, and then they usually have like a keep warm feature. So the rice will remain hot until you're ready to eat it.
I have like 4 rice cookers at home. I'm not trying to show off, but like 4. I don't know why.
How much rice do you guys eat at
home? A lot. We have big ones, small ones, medium-sized ones. It's like collecting it. It's nice.
And definitely 3 more things that you could have at home is an oven, like an OTG, a microwave, and a toaster if you're somebody who likes eating toast and bread and breakfast.
All 3 of those come in like one form
OTG.
You can microwave, you can do literally if you get one of those convection microwave things, you can do like anything, which is like mind-boggling.
And breaking the myth, no, a microwave will not give you cancer. It's not going to make you sick. It's absolutely safe to
100%.
use. So that's just something I wanted to plug in there.
Guys, Ms. Shastri is asking. We recently bought glass top stove.
Yeah.
And I read few cookers vessels shouldn't be placed on it, which breaks the glass.
Yeah.
Any alternate for this?
No, honestly, you have to be super careful when you buy a glass top stove.
This is technically glass top,
yes.
Right? Okay.
So I don't know. In terms of heat resistance, I'm not sure of the brand because the grade of the glass used on top is what matters. But you have to be careful because if anything heavy falls on it, it will shatter. It's going to break and it's going to completely ruin the look of your stove. And I honestly don't know if you can use it after it's broken. I don't know if it's replaceable or you have to replace the entire stove. So ensure if there is some sort of warranty that you've signed up for it, first of all. Second of all, I'm sorry, we don't have any specific tip to prevent.
Be careful.
Yeah, the glass from breaking.
I mean, in the kitchen, you should generally be careful. I think this just extends to your glass stove as well.
Right. Karthik is asking, what's the perfect cooking time of prawns?
It's actually a few minutes.
Yeah, they cook really quickly. They're small and I mean.
Like the small and medium prawns, probably like 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, easily.
At a high flame, it just takes 2-3 minutes, and you just have to saute them really quickly and take them out. So usually, if you're like adding them in a masala or a curry, get the masala or curry fully done, and then add your prawns. Just mix it in for a few minutes and take it off the heat.
Yeah,
that's when the consistency is going to be best. Otherwise, you're going to end up with chewy,
rubbery,
overcooked prawns, which I don't think you like. So that is definitely better. Manas, can you run us through quickly the basic staples that somebody needs in their pantry?
So for a long time in my life, I've always struggled to identify dals. I mean, I think
let's hold them up.
I think until like 2 years ago, I never knew which dal was which.
Okay, let's play a quick game. What dal is this?
Can they see?
Yes, I am pointing only this one. It's just this one.
The kutti one.
Can you guess which dal this is? If there are any answers, let us know. We will move on to the next one after.
YouTube influencer.
Okay, what did they say?
Karthik said moong dal.
Karthik said moong dal. Karthik,
correct.
you're right. This is moong dal. What is this dal?
Priyanka Pulkannan also says moong dal.
Okay.
Good job. Moong dal, moong
The
dal.
second one.
Is it ulund?
What is
No.
ulund? Ulund is horse
Yeah.
gram.
No, ulund is urad dal.
Huh? What? Moong dal.
Is it tur dal?
No.
No.
Is it chana dal?
Yes.
Yes.
I always guessing all the dals now.
Surya Dharmaraj.
Okay, Surya
Now final one.
Dharmaraj. You are right. The second one is chana dal. Now moving on to the third one.
There are obviously a lot more dals, but these are like the three most common in all Indian
Someone said
households.
manja parpu. Is it all of them manja parpu? What the hell does that mean?
Manja means
Yellow.
Is it kadala burger?
This
No.
is not curd. This is curd.
The second one was kadla parpu.
Is the third one tur dal?
Yes.
Okay, Jishnu found it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so once again, we can say all three can be used interchangeably in dals, but for your what's a typical dal that you eat in Tamil Nadu?
Tur dal is usually used for sambars, but tur dal and moong dal is like something that you can switch.
So for your pongals, you'll use
Moong dal.
Moong dal. For your parupus, you'll use. Is this called parupu as well? Like
Yeah,
generally?
parpu is just dal.
Okay, so for your parupus, you'll use tur dal, and chana dal you can use for like tempering.
Yeah.
In up north in West Bengal, they use this usually for their dals. So depending on which region you go to,
And
they
of
use all
course,
types of
we didn't
dals.
keep ulunde, which is the split urad dal or whole urad dal. That's used for tempering as well.
Yeah.
And that should have been in this.
Yes.
Jishnu is saying he uses moong dal to make gotsu.
Yeah, I guess you could.
Innovative.
You can't interchange all dals. Yeah, you're right. You can't interchange them in every single recipe.
Yeah.
But if you are
At home,
flexible enough, I think you can.
if you're at home and you don't have like if a recipe suggests use tur dal, but you only have say moong dal, you can use it. It's not. It'll be like 90%
Yeah.
the way there. It won't.
But chana dal will be a bit of a compromise.
So okay, my bad. I shouldn't have said that fully interchangeable, but you can compromise if you happen to have only one dal. So if you had to choose one dal to keep at home, what would you keep?
Moong dal.
I
Yeah.
keep tur dal.
That's what we use at home.
The most common.
Yeah.
Okay, Madhi is asking
Okay.
how to make veg mayonnaise.
That's actually super simple. You can just blend
Veg
up some
mayonnaise.
cold milk.
Oh,
I mean, actual mayonnaise. You can blend up some cold milk with oil and you just add some salt and sugar. And that's it.
Have you guys, if you've been to like any restaurant and you get shawarma, they have the like really amazing garlic sauce, right? That's literally just a lot of garlic with oil blended up.
Yeah.
So that could also be
That's
like a
actually
very
garlic
garlicky
paste, but it
mayonnaise.
looks like mayo.
Yeah. So they use that quite often. It's a little strong, but like, I mean, who doesn't love garlic?
Perfect. So moving on to the next thing, you need dals, obviously.
Mhm.
The next thing that you need is different types of rice. Usually 3 main varieties of rice is what people keep at home. You have a long grain variety of rice, something like a basmati rice, a short grain variety of rice like jeeraga samba, and a everyday rice, like a regular rice like ponni rice. Apart from this, yes, you could have idli rice and a few more varieties, but as a beginner, I think these three are sufficient. And if you're someone who wants to skip the jeeraga samba, that's also fine. You can just have a ponni rice or an everyday rice and a basmati rice for something like a biryani,
Biryanis.
and that's enough. And you usually get them in 1 kilo bags,
Yeah.
but that's totally fine. You can buy 1 kilo because it will last you for a really long time.
100%.
It doesn't really have like a shelf life on it as long as insects don't come in it, which we'll get to in a little while to how to teach you to, kind of prevent these insects. So rice is the next thing. Maybe you can tell them a little bit about flours and atas that they can
Okay.
have at home.
So typically, everyone knows maida, atta. Those are the two most common. But if you want to go a little deeper, there's besan, and you get others like corn flour, rice flour, and all of that. But if you want to keep at home, the most common I would suggest would be atta, besan, and maida. So for your chapatis, you'd use atta.
Yes.
For your
Cakes.
cakes, for your naans, for your breads, you'd use maida. And besan you'd use for what? Bhajis, you use
Yes.
for pakodas.
Exactly.
All of
So
that.
for all your snacky items, the besan or
Besan
the
would
gram
work.
flour will come in handy.
Yeah.
So just these three should be sufficient.
Should be
If you're setting up your kitchen, that's enough. Once you get a little bit better at cooking, you can get in rice flour and corn flour, like
Yeah.
you said, into your kitchen, but that's at a later stage.
Yeah.
Sanjana, Sunita
Yes.
is asking, want to know about oil please, which is the best?
Yes.
Oil. Let's
There's a
move on to
lot of
oils.
oils, but
We'll probably tell you the 2 or 3 best things to start off with.
so this, as you can tell by the, can you see the color difference?
You hold it straight, duh.
Okay, let's hold it straight.
Yeah.
You can see the color difference, right? So this is gingerly oil,
Or let's
Sesame
just say
oil.
this is any other oil.
and
This is sunflower oil.
Sunflower refined oil.
Yeah.
So typically this will be flavorless. It's neutral. So for your deep frying purposes, for cooking like any dish, this would be sufficient. But if you want to add a little extra flavor, if you want to amp it up, if you're making typically South Indian dishes, ginger
Correct.
oil adds like an amazing flavor. And then if you go somewhere like Kerala, coconut oil. If what are the oils? There's coconut
Groundnut
oil,
oil.
sesame oil. Groundnut oil adds once more and super amazing flavor. And you can deep fry in groundnut oil because there's something else called a smoke point, right? So you wouldn't be able to deep fry in coconut oil, but groundnut oil you can. Refined oil you can. I wouldn't suggest sesame oil because it's really strong. But when it comes to oils, this is like if you had to choose one oil, I suggest you choose
Sunflower oil. Just because you, like he said, you can use it in
all-rounder.
everything. You can use it in all styles of cooking, different cuisines, anything you want to experiment with, perfectly fine. So my 3 picks would be skip your any other oil at the moment. At the moment, sunflower oil to begin with,
And
definitely ghee
Yes.
and butter. These 3 are the fats that you should be having in your kitchen because butter for all your Conti things like pasta and bread and cakes and
Yeah.
all that kind of thing. Ghee for any of your Indian cooking. Like what is parpu sadam or sambar sadam without nehi? So you just can't live without ghee, honestly,
Yeah.
if you're Indian. So ghee is a must have. Even if you don't use it for cooking, at least get a kutti dabba and keep it for when you're eating. And for all your basic cooking, you can use a neutral oil. I'm not saying it just has to be sunflower. It can be sunflower, rice bran, or soybean oil. All 3 of them are neutral, meaning they have no taste of their own. Can be used for all cooking, including baking. So that's the little bit that we have on oils. Maybe next we can head on to some products that kind of make your life a little easier. Things that you get ready or half ready in the market, which you can have and help you make cooking a little bit easier.
Like, what is your opinion about olive oil? It's very healthy. You should use olive oil instead of groundnut oil.
See, it is healthy, but it depends on type of oil you get. So everyone says you never should use olive oil for like high heat.
Extra virgin olive
Yeah,
oil is not used for
especially.
cooking.
It's only for like finishing salads, meat, whatever. It's only like a garnish type. Normal olive oil you can, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Still
it's
not
as,
recommended.
It's not recommended. It's not as flavorful. Like if you're getting olive oil, you want the best of the best. You want that flavor that you get. Normal olive oil compared to extra virgin olive oil, it just doesn't.
It
I wouldn't
actually has a
recommend it.
bad taste. I don't like
It's
it.
a little
Like,
bitter
yeah.
and like it's not nice. And if you heat it up, it just gets even more bitter and like weird tasting. So I wouldn't recommend olive oil.
And also,
extra virgin.
it's
yes.
not budget friendly. To be honest, it's just not budget friendly enough for the possible health benefits it could have, like in the long run and prolonged usage.
What would you use olive oil for? Like it'll be very rare, like the uses that you'd have for olive oil.
So,
especially
like
in
he
Indian
said, maybe
households.
get an extra virgin tiny bottle.
And
That's
like
it.
use it for whenever you're feeling a little fancy and when you're feeling a little posh, just sprinkle a little bit of olive oil.
Yeah, when you're trying to be fancy to impress your crush or your girlfriend or whatever, yeah, then just pretend like you're adding that for that extra special.
Can you guys give us a tip for keeping a tawa non-sticky while cooking?
Tawa?
Non-sticky while
I mean, if it's a non-stick tawa, you don't have to do anything.
Just don't use metal on it, then it won't. If it's a cast iron, you have to season it. So the more seasoned it gets, the more non-stick it will be. So I'm sure your mom will have like a really super amazing non-stick tawa that she cooks dosas, uttappams, pesarats on. So
90% that will be cast iron.
it'll be cast iron, and because if I eat dosa almost every day, so it just gets more and more seasoned and more non-stick. So just keep using it. Don't be afraid. And the first time it might stick, but the times after that, bliss.
How many dosas per meal then?
Depends, da. Sometimes, usually 3 on an average. Usually 3 on an average, but they're pretty big dosas as well. So.
Okay.
Kaushi is asking, sometimes chicken curry becomes bitter. So how should we remove it?
I have no idea what that means. Just because there are hundreds of different chicken curries and hundreds of different spice combinations you can use to
Yeah.
make your chicken curry. If you are adding fenugreek by any chance in it, that's a very, very high chance that it's bitter because of fenugreek in that curry. But apart from that,
If you burnt anything by any chance, then it'd be bitter.
or like the
Of course.
spices, for instance.
Yeah, like when you put that talimp in the beginning before adding, if you happen to burn that, it will translate over into bitterness throughout the entire curry.
Sana, can you just say hi to Dinesh? He's a big fan from Russia.
Hi, Dinesh from Russia.
Anyone wants me to call out their names, you can just put it down in the comments.
All right. So the next thing, like I was saying, continuing having some ingredients that could make your life a little easier, like pre-processed ingredients. One of them is coconut milk. You can add that in a lot of curries, and it tastes yum. It gives that extra richness. Tomato puree. You don't. Again, it's not a must. You can make tomato puree at home by just blending tomatoes. But having tomato puree also helps with a few
Yeah.
different preparations. Like I use it for dal makhani, the ready-made tomato puree. So that really helps. Condensed milk, if you are making desserts, if you're someone who likes payasams or has a sweet tooth, condensed milk is a really nice product to have at home, just lying around for you to whip up a quick dessert, or honestly just eat a spoon off, because I would do that.
Yeah.
And apart from that, chutney podis like your dosa podi, dosa idli podi, and parapu podi, things like that, and also pickles, if you are someone who likes pickles, that is. So I mean, he's a spice guy.
I have like a full shelf just full of different pickles. It's like,
What's your most favorite pickle?
I don't know. I'd gotta say either avkai or gongura pachadi. One of them. Or even allam pachadi. No, I love everything. Huh? There is garlic in all these pachadis. So like once in a while you'll get like a little piece of garlic and it's like a nice flavor bomb.
Okay, next let's head on to dry fruits like cashew nuts, walnuts,
And once again,
almonds,
these are
raisins.
pretty expensive. So
Small quantities,
Small
they help every
quantities.
now and then. Adding them one or two in a curry or in a rice preparation gives you that random surprise that will be really nice. Like in a pulao, like a plain, just a veg pulao, if you're adding some dry fruits in it, it's going to be really nice. But also if you're making like butter chicken, makhani gravies, you do need cashew nuts. Just as a basic, a little bit of cashews, almonds, and raisins would do.
yeah.
You don't need fancy walnuts and pecans and hazelnuts and Brazil nuts and things like that. Let's tell them about the 5 basic veggies everyone must have.
One thing I absolutely dislike is if you go onto Swiggy and you search for like ginger or garlic, you get like that peeled garlic option or the peeled ginger option, right? Never get those. Like they're always, I don't know when they've been peeled, but they're always smelly and they're always it's just not nice. They're not fresh at all. So I know it might take you an extra 5-10 minutes, but trust me, it's worth it from a flavor standpoint and from a standpoint of when it's been peeled and when it's actually been processed. Like it makes a big difference.
And it lasts longer,
It lasts
honestly, if
longer.
it's not peeled. If you buy the peeled one, it'll get spoiled in 2-3 days
Yeah.
at max. But if you get the unpeeled one, you can keep it for weeks
Yeah.
and nothing will happen. You can peel as and when you need and kind of use it up. So that's any day better.
So,
But apart from ginger and garlic, what else do we need?
So typically you'll need onions, tomatoes. Those are like I'm pretty sure almost every single curry you'd use onions and tomatoes. And then I personally love a lot of spice. So green chilies, I use a lot of green chilies in my cooking. So far we've got onions, tomatoes, green chilies, ginger and garlic. The unpeeled ones, you can peel it yourself. It's not a lot of effort, but it's worth it. And then, of course, for little lightness, you got your herbs. You got mint, you've got coriander, and of course, curry leaves. Those 3. I mean, okay, you can skip the mint, but coriander leaves and curry leaves, they're like a must.
Yeah, they're a non-negotiable for me.
Like if you make a chicken curry with like a lot of masala, it's thick, it's got a lot of chicken in it. Add a little coriander leaf. It makes you feel better. Like, I'm adding a little green. It's vegetable. It's healthy, and it does make the dish a lot lighter. It makes it a lot more flavorful and a lot more aromatic. So
the
it does make a
freshness,
difference.
like it brings out the freshness of the dish.
It makes a huge difference.
Unless you're one of those weirdos who,
that soap.
Who thinks that coriander tastes like soap, then I'm sorry for you. But
I don't
apart
believe
from that,
I don't
believe that.
I don't know why. I know it's scientifically.
It's a real thing.
No, I know it's scientifically true, but objectively, I know it's there, but like I can't process it. Maybe because I don't have that gene. But how does coriander taste like soap? Something that's so fresh and nice.
Does someone have to have fruits at home?
You don't have to, but
But an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So why don't you have apples?
If you want
at
to
home?
I'd say apples and bananas are like they're around all season long, and they're super healthy, very nutrient rich, nutrient dense, and they taste so good. Like I just love apples and bananas. I personally don't eat lunch at office. I don't eat lunch at office. I eat oranges, apples, or bananas. Like that's my meal, or grapes.
Just those 3 foods, honestly. If you're someone who's lazy, who doesn't want to prep, who doesn't want to like peel a fruit and like eat it and stuff like that, just get these so you can eat them as is. I mean,
Exactly.
peeling an orange, if you're telling me that's work, I'm sorry for you. You're just lazy as
And
hell.
don't get the pre-peeled oranges. I know you.
I
can
don't think you
those.
get them in India, though.
Okay, whatever. Do not. If I see you.
Okay, next thing, let's move on. I think we've covered all the basics.
Yeah.
You definitely need spices, you need spice powders, you need a lot of pantry staples like different types of rice, different types of dal, different types of fats, that is your oil, ghee, and butter. And next, let's move on to some, before that, also vegetables and fruits and dry fruits and things like that. But now let's move on to how you actually store these ingredients, because you need to keep them fresh and well at home. Can you talk a little bit about the minimum quantities that you can order of certain things and if it's okay?
So typically, I mean, if you're ordering, then let's use Swiggy and Zepto as an example, or Big Basket. They usually start from like 500 grams for most vegetables. Some vegetables I know they have 250 grams, but usually it's half kg to a kg. And depending on what your living situation is, if you're a single person, if you order half kg of each vegetable, that will get you easily 3-4 days,
Comfortably.
up to a week. Because
That is if you are cooking all 3 meals at home.
I'm assuming you'll order a bunch of vegetables. So you order half kg of everything. You can have variation every day, and it will last you a week, and it's pretty inexpensive. I mean,
wait, I think we should address this just because I think someone is feeling a little low on our life, and someone said, "I'm working. This job is making me mad. Daily, too much work, and my eyes are fully heavy." Do you have some words of encouragement for her? Shyam, first of all, I'm really sorry that your job is really taxing on you. Try to find something that keeps you happy, keeps you motivated.
Hobbies.
Yeah. So if you can quit that job, do that. If you can't and you really have to work there, try to find something outside of work that makes you super happy. That could even be sleep, honestly. So try to do that. Try to hang out with your friends. Try to eat good food. That is something that we can help you out with. Eat some good food that really makes a difference and cheers you up, brings up your energy and all of that. And I hope you feel better soon.
Like, how many times have you had a bad day and you just eat something and subconsciously you're just like, oh yeah, that just makes me feel so much better. Like,
yeah, when I feel terrible, I want sugar.
I usually like chicken when I feel bad. I'll just eat it and I'll just feel better. I don't know how that works, but you wouldn't know, right?
I wouldn't know, but I think sweets do the same thing for me, I guess. Like an ice cream or a pastry, like even if I'm trying to stay off sugar, if I've had like a bad day, I'm just like, you know what, forget it. I'm going to buy that ice cream, I'm going to eat it, and I'm going to feel better at the end of it. Maybe a little guilty, but that's okay. But yeah,
it's worth it.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. And then I do feel better after that, and my day is instantly better, and I sleep much better. Okay, so storage containers. How do we store all this produce? So ideally, just one type of container is what you need in different sizes. You need airtight containers, which have a really tight fitting lid basically. So you can store all your ingredients in that. And especially your dry ingredients like your dals and rices and things like that can be stored for a long time. There's no specific expiry. Yes, the pack has an expiry, check that out. But once you buy it, it isn't going to spoil immediately unless there are insects. So how can we keep these insects out, Manas?
We add a single piece of bay leaf. So I didn't know we were doing this. I knew this was there, but when I opened our Maida box and I saw a piece of bay leaf, I was like, did someone think this is the bay leaf box? And then I remembered, no, bay leaf keeps insects away. So if you do find a lot of insects in your basin, in your atta, in your Maida, just throw in a little bay leaf in it. If you still find insects, you get those small sealed packets of silica gel that are desiccant. Basically, it dries out your environment. So it should be sealed. Do not throw in a naphthalene ball that's open. Get a sealed silica packet.
It's called silica gel. It's food grade silica that you can find on Amazon. You can get a huge packet of that and you can store that at home. And you can just add a few packets of that into any of these dry things that is not edible. Do not attempt eating that because that is poisonous.
Do not open it and add it into the food. Just
add the packet itself. Yeah, and I'm sure that the pack comes with instructions. So read that first. I think it comes in packs of 50s and 100s.
Yeah, and it's pretty cheap as well.
Yeah. So that is something you can definitely do. And these same containers, you buy them in different sizes so that you can keep some of them outside and some of them in the fridge for your fresh produce, like your herbs and things like that. Also stored in an airtight container helps it stay fresher for longer. So those are definitely something that you need. And possibly now, he wants us to try some Bengali foods. We actually have a few recipes.
do?
We have a few
So
Bengali recipes.
what you can do is you can go to the Cook tab, and on the search bar you can type in Bengali and hit search. I will have numerous recipes that are typically Bengali, and some that might be a little fusion, might be a little fun. So you can scroll through it and search for what you want, and you can follow the rest. I mean, I don't know if you're Bengali or not, but if you're not, you can follow the instructions and the video guide and see how to make this dish. It's
And
pretty
also,
simple.
if you have any suggestions, if you think we've missed out some Bengali dishes, please DM us, and
Yeah.
we actually take down these recipe suggestions and try to shoot them ASAP. So if you guys have any recipe suggestions for us that we haven't covered yet, or you want certain recipes in some series, like you want him to make something in a kettle, or you want me to make something without that, then you can let me know that as well. Or Mahika, you can tell her how to bake. You can ask her to bake something in a pressure cooker without an oven. Yatin has something which I can't yet reveal. Maybe after the weekend,
That
you can
comes
ask him requests as well. But yeah, to each of us, each of the chefs here have their own specialities, and you can ask us to make recipes in our specialities, and we'll do them for you. So please keep your comments. I mean, suggestions coming in our comments and DMs.
And go crazy with them. Don't try to make it feasible for us. We'll try figuring that out. Just go crazy, see whatever comes up off the top of your head, and just send it to us, DM it to us.
And finally, Manas, now that we have said everything that they need, like for the kitchen in terms of appliances and equipment and stuff, do you have anything to add about the kitchen itself?
So, I mean, with this, I mentioned a lot of pet peeves of mine. I have pretty strong opinions, but one thing, I know this is very niche, and I'm very lucky that we have air conditioning in the kitchen, but especially after moving to Chennai, the number of times I've cooked at home is probably single digits, because it's just really hot for me. So in a kitchen, I prefer to have it cool. That's a very niche thing, I know. It's just a pet peeve of mine.
That's not something that's feasible for a bachelor.
No, I know.
So see, the kitchen setup, like the kitchen itself, obviously this is a studio, this is not a kitchen. But imagine this is your house kitchen. The setup will completely depend on the space that you have. There's something called a modular kitchen, which will make, it's a little expensive. I am going to give you a heads up on that, but it makes everything super compact. So it's stuff inside stuff. Yeah. And it's all stuff inside stuff where, like he said, it's all within reach. But if you open something, a bunch of shelves come out and it opens up into something much larger, but it stores into something that's super compact. So if you have the option to do that, then that's nice. But otherwise, you can just get some basic stuff, get some basic shelves on the wall. All of them are not solid shelves, ideally have holes in them, or let it be like a rack sort of thing where water can drip in case you keep utensils that are wet. For your washing, you definitely need a sponge. Rack. Yeah, you need your sponge and soap for washing, and then you need a drying rack or a drying basket.
It should be a basket with like gaps in it, and preferably maybe another basket to catch all those errant water.
Yeah, so like a plastic tub and then another metal tub that goes on top. Like the metal tub can just be like a basket sort of thing, like you said, with a lot of holes. So you put the wet utensils in that underneath it, and you can just pour off the water later. So it's super less messy. If you're moving into a house that's already semi-furnished, I'm sure that it will have, or in a PG, this is not an option. You will have to figure out how to make do with the space that you have. But otherwise, in a kitchen, just having a few shelves around, we've pretty much explained what these things are and the things that you need. Like there's 5 pans, a cutting board, a bunch of groceries, and some place to store your vegetables. That's all you need. So essentially, the space that you even see here is sufficient to set up a kitchen. A fridge, obviously, you do need one.
One more thing. Every kitchen should have like one big coupe basket. But then what's really helpful is if you have another bowl, like a designated bowl. It doesn't have to be this big, but another designated bowl, somewhere on your worktop, on your counter. So you don't have to, because first of all, your trash bin shouldn't be anywhere near your food processing area, because that's not hygienic. So it'll be somewhere off in the corner somewhere. So if you have like a small bowl or a container where you can just throw your vegetable peels or whatever waste.
So temporary dustbin.
Temporary dustbin, yeah. So always two, one big coupe basket and one like temporary dustbin, that you don't have to make so many trips to the big dustbin. You can make like 1 or 2 trips throughout your entire day.
And that being said, in this bowl itself, you need multiple sizes. For making your atta and doughs and everything, you need like a larger one that's easy enough to kind of passengify the mark. But apart from that, you need from small to big size, because you're doing all your prep, you're storing your cut vegetables, you're washing vegetables, certain vegetables that turn brown, like say a raw banana. You'll have to add it into water as
Water.
soon as you cut it.
Yeah.
So having this itself, like just a regular steel bowl and say 5 different
What
sizes,
about glass versus steel?
I would definitely say steel,
Steel.
because one, it's cheaper and it lasts you longer. So just go for steel, because we're trying to set up a kitchen also on a budget. But if you're bougie and fancy and can afford glass, looks nice, you can go for glass. We choose glass in all the recipe shoots, but not for the kitchen everyday usage. We do have a bunch of these which you might have never seen in a video, but yes.
This is what we usually do all our preps in behind the scenes without the cameras, and then we transfer into these glass bowls. So
I think
that's
that's
nice.
it. That's pretty much it,
That's it.
Manas. I think we've covered everything that you need to set up a basic kitchen. Just to remind people that one, we have a sale that's going on for the Palipalayam and the Madras 65, which is a buy two get four sale. It's definitely worth it, because you can scan the QR code. There are so many recipes. Okay, you don't just have to make like a chicken 65 or a Palipalayam chicken with the masala. You can make sandwiches. You can make burgers. You can make so much with them.
And where
Just
can you find all of these?
on the cook tab, obviously.
course.
All you have to do is scan the QR code on the pack once you receive it, and it will take you to the cook tab, which has like tons of recipes that you can make with the product. So that's why I think it's worth buying 2 and getting 4 free. So you get 6 packs of the product for the price of 2. And it's genuinely really worth it. It's not just like a selling gimmick. You should definitely try
And
it.
one pack can make enough for what, about a kg of meat?
Yep.
I can
So
feed
you can
a
serve your
family of 4 or
family.
5.
Yeah.
One pack.
And also, there's another very exciting thing on Sunday. We can't reveal it as yet. So it's just something really special that you guys can stay tuned for, and it will be coming up on Sunday. So remember the day, Sunday, and keep your eyes on the page. Something will come. And then a little promo, because I promised my brother, this is Fish in the Sink. Please check out their music. He's my brother.
Oh, so it's a band?
Yeah, it's a band.
That was a cool, like,
See, it's so
culinary
cool.
shirt.
It's like cool
I
merch.
was like, she's a chef in fish.
Yeah, it works, no? That's why. Okay, so check out Fish in the Sink, and we'll see you next time. If you have any topics that you want to suggest that we cover in our live, or for like other recipes and things like that, again, comments and DMs, we're always available. So see you then. Thank you so much for joining us.
I know Women's Day is tomorrow, but I think I just want to wish all the lovely women there who are working, whatever job you guys have, you're doing an amazing job, and just happy Women's Day. I know it's tomorrow, but we won't be live.
Thank you, Manas. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us. And this was the episode on teaching you how to set up your Indian kitchen. Bye.
Bye.